What it do, everybody? iWearEars here, and you're watching Games. Or like they say in the Green Lantern Corps, G to the 3. Today is Thursday morning, which means yesterday's comics have been released. This week has left us with very few issues to thumb through, so now, in no in particular order, it is time to break down the books. Now, instead of doing the usual numerical score that I usually do, like the 10 to 1, I'm actually going to be switching over to a simpler system, so it's just going to be a regular letter grade. So it's going to be A through F, obviously A being the greatest, and then F being not so great and a little lackluster. So from here on out, I'll just be going A, B, C, D, so on, even like a C plus sometimes. Like we actually got one of those this week. So in case you're wondering if I'm talking about letters and no numbers, that's what that's going to be from now on. Now, right now, you were actually looking at the footage from the Battlefield 4 beta testing going on right now. Since I am a Battlefield 3 premium member, I have access to the beta testing, so this is what the footage you're seeing this week instead of Injustice like I usually show. I just wanted to share this with you since it is brand new. Now we're going to go ahead and start off with the DC books. Really, that is all I have for you, is just DC. Now with Detective Comics, I'm going to go ahead and give that a C. It was continuing on with the Wrath storyline, and we picked up with Wrath from leaving Villains Month. And I feel like we didn't really get too far again with Wrath, even though it was the end of his storyline. I feel that Wrath is just kind of a ruggedized Batman, and not ruggedized like, oh, he can do all this. Like, you know, like how a phone is ruggedized, how like they put rubber on the edges so that way if it falls, it's okay. You can drop it. It's meant to be rugged. Like that's how I feel Wrath is. Like I look at him and I just feel like he's just ruggedized Batman, like he's got a little bit more bulk to him, just a little bit more extra rubber, but he's missing what's inside the suit, and that's obviously the brain. He just thinks that because he has all this power he can go ahead and take over what is his, or what he intends to do, I should say, because he really isn't out to get a profit, he's just trying to get some revenge. Now if it weren't for 0 Year coming up to break up the actual Detective Comics storyline, I feel that they would be going in a really repetitive cycle, and I just say that just because of the way they left the issue. Now I do try to keep these reviews as spoiler free as I can, so I won't go too far into that, but I will say that DC is loving their team ups right now. I really don't feel that they're innovative right now or that they're fresh, just because obviously with Villains Month the whole thing was just kind of one big team up after another, it seemed, with the stories going in and out of each other, and then with the Crime Syndicate, just all of these unique team ups that would usually be unique really aren't, and all of the sparkle is kind of being taken away out of it. But moving on into Forever Evil, now that's going to be the second issue of Forever Evil. I went ahead and gave that a C+. I wasn't left as confused by this issue as I was with the last one. Even within like the first few pages of the last issue, I was already kind of scratching my head like, huh? That's why I gave it a little bit of a higher grade this time, just because of the fact that it delivered the information it needed to. I also like the Lex Luthor part of the issue. That's also surprising because, as I've said earlier, I'm not too much of a Superman fan, so anything to do with Superman I'm always a little shocked if I like it. So the Lex Luthor part of the story was good, that all of his pages of the issue were good. One thing that's really annoying me through the Forever Evil thing and also the Trinity War is just Atomica. Just the fact that because she can shrink down to such a small size, I feel that it lets the story get away with anything. So it just gives too much freedom for random events just to happen. Obviously, the events are supposed to be random, but I just feel that the writers just go like, oh, we can get away with this because we can just shrink her down really quick and she can just do this really quick and just get it done. That's how I feel Trinity War was. If you don't know how that ended, I don't feel that they knew how Trinity War was going to end when they began writing it. They relied on Atomica and her abilities to kind of justify what happened through the previous issues to keep it going. And her boo, that little guy that's supposed to be like the anti-Flash, just like how Batman has Owlman, like this is the version of the Flash. They built him up to like be like the main character of the issue, just because like he was the focal point of the cover art. Obviously, he's Atomica's boyfriend or piece of ass, whatever you want to call him. He totally disappointed. He just had some crazy faces, and that was about it. Moving on, we're going to go ahead and go into Batman Black and White. Now, I went ahead and gave that a B. That was definitely the strongest issue of the week. And definitely, it feels like just a community issue. Like, I feel like all of the artists and writers that just love and have a passion for Batman come together and work on this book. It is just the second issue, but I feel that there's so much love and passion behind it, just because it feels like a showcase of all these different writers. Some really great artwork has definitely come out of it, and this series does remind you that the art is still done by pencil and by hand. Like, it's not all digitized, it's not all just shapes just pre-made and just layered on top of it. Now, I know that is an art, but comic books, it was started with a pencil and paper, and then it went on to inking and all of that. But it was great to see how you see a shadow on there, but when you do the double take, you look and it's just lines and lines and lines of pencil work. So that's just really great to see that showcased in the Black and White series. Also, there are parts of the pages that have like pin marks that just bleed through. That also really adds to the series as well. I feel it's definitely its aesthetic for the whole series. Some of these stories, though, they have a twist at the very last second. Like, literally, it'll be like the last page or the last panel. And I feel that they just throw that twist in just to throw it in, because the story was kind of doing fine up until then. And then they'll just have like some kind of like reveal or something. And it just feels that they just threw that in there just to say that, oh, my story had this. And it kind of took away from it in the end. And because of that, some of the issues are either going to be hit or miss. They're either going to be really good or just kind of so-so. One of the issues in the first Black and White was Batman Zombie. And I really didn't like it at first just because the Batman Zombie was so grotesque. But he was only a zombie to the regular people of Gotham. And he was fresh, dapper Batman for the rogues of Gotham. And that was because he was a zombie to not helping out with their everyday problems like house eviction and things like that. Not for the everyday person, just kind of fulfilling his own fantasy and needs and chasing around these villains all around town and doing what he wants to do. So thinking about it, it was a good story, but just at the moment it just didn't really hit for me. Now, because there are such an amount of issues that are missing from this week. Usually there are a lot more, especially coming off of Villains Month. There were multiple issues. So I went ahead and chose a trade to go ahead and talk about. Now, this trade is actually going to be the trade for Adventure Time. Now, it's going to be Adventure Time Volume 1. I went ahead and gave that a B+. I just went and read this. And if you like the show, you definitely need to read this. The same people who work on the show do not do the book, but you would not know the difference. The team that works on this book is amazing at capturing the feel and moving everything over onto the page. Like, even when you're reading the dialogue, you can hear Joe DiMaggio's voice as you're reading through as Jake. So it's just really funny. Another good part of it is the first page of the book. I think it's probably my favorite throughout the whole part, because if you watch the show, the theme song, the intro is broken up into two parts. There's like a sweeping motion that takes you all through the land of Ooh, and then it just goes into a theme song. So that first page really explains where that camera sweep comes from. That's why I enjoy it so much. Well, the first story really just jumped into it, and I really didn't get a grasp of the story until about halfway through the book. Now, if you're reading issue to issue, I don't think that would be too beneficial, just because of the fact that you're wasting all of those issues. Like, you waste a good 3 issues. Like, of course it's entertaining, but you really don't get a grasp of the whole series, at least that whole series of the first volume, until you get about halfway through. So I don't know if that's a good thing or the bad thing, but I would definitely recommend reading Adventure Time in the form of trades as opposed to issue by issue. Now, I love my single issues. I love getting my stack each week, but I would definitely go for just the single book on Adventure Time. But we have reached the end of this comics and serial, but be sure to check out next week's breakdown coming out. I hope you've enjoyed this week's books as much as I have. If you would like to check out my pull list, you can go ahead and follow along with me. Go ahead and head over to facebook.com/iWearEarsGames. If you also are on Twitter, that's going to be the same thing you look up when you're trying to find me. It's going to be iWearEarsGames. Also on Instagram, go ahead and go to instagram.com/iWearEars. Go ahead and check out my photo feed. And don't forget, since it's also Thursday, that means it's also Grand Theft Thursday, the series in which I play Grand Theft Auto 5. If you haven't noticed or got the message, I'm going to be switching from the campaign to Grand Theft Auto Online. So I have a couple more videos of the campaign to run through, and then you will start seeing some online content. I have some good plans coming up, so be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can get the rest of this series, that series, and the other series that I have. I just have videos galore. Please be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Again, I am iWearEars, and this has been G to the 3. I will see you later. Bye!